Welcome into Back of the Net. It is time to recap everything that has happened this past weekend in the European football scene. A lot of good games this weekend. A lot of draws. There were a lot of draws scattered around Europe. But, still some quite entertaining games. And, it's time to recap them. Let's get just straight into it, as we always do, with the Premier League. It was Luton Town hosting Tottenham early Saturday morning. If you want the full thoughts on that one, go check out Top of the Perch. I gave a full recap of this match, but Tottenham played a good game despite, Luton Town, the way that they plays. It was going to be a struggle for Tottenham. So coming away with the 3 points, especially down to 10 men, was a real big deal. Moving on, Burnley, I should say. Wow. I went through all the B teams except for Burnley. They lose 4-1 at home to Chelsea. They were up 1-0, and then they conceded 4 straight. And Chelsea now have won 2 straight. I know the question's starting to be asked, has, Chelsea finally turned that corner? It's hard to tell, honestly. I think they're getting closer, but you have to win a game against like a top club before I can officially say that you've turned the corner. And they've got plentiful opportunities coming up in their schedule because it is grueling, their upcoming fixtures. So we'll see if Chelsea have actually finally turned a corner. Everton 3, Bournemouth 0. Everton get a huge 3 points in a game that doesn't matter at this point in the season, as we're only match weeks in. But it's still a vital 3 points that they're probably going to need later down the road, especially given that Bournemouth will be a challenger in that relegation zone. But Everton, they look somewhat like the Everton of old on Saturday. Again, that the Everton of old is long, long gone, so would have taken a lot for that old Everton to be back, but this is as close as we've seen it in a while. So, a big win for them. Fulham 3, Sheffield United 1. No real big surprise here. Sheffield United they don't look good at all. They are struggling mightily in the Premier League. I think it's almost a guarantee that they're going straight back down. Because they don't look fit the part this season. They didn't really invest in the squad, and that's hurt them mightily. And they are just not good at all right now. I'm wondering somewhat if Paul Heckingbottom's job is in jeopardy. I have no idea. I would assume it is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not either, because Sheffield United just don't seem like they care, really, honestly. Manchester United 2, Brentford 1. Brentford led this game 1-0 for quite a long time. And then it was Scotty McTominay with 2 goals in stoppage time that give Manchester United the victory. A victory that they really, truly needed. If they lost that game, I think that the discussions are quite different going into this international break. But getting a win in this game was huge for them. Moving on, the last game of that Saturday window, it was Crystal Palace 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Nothing truly outstanding to report from this game. It's just it was a 0-0 draw. There were some good moments for both sides. They just couldn't convert, and that's where we end up with the team splitting the points. Moving on to Sunday, probably the most entertaining game of the day was Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Liverpool 2. This was an outstanding game from start to finish. Action on both sides of the pitch. Mohamed Salah ends up getting a brace, I believe it was. I know he got at least one goal. I'm pretty sure he scored on the second one also. But yeah, what a game. Just truly entertaining. Brighton fought back at the end to get a point. It wasn't looking like they were going to end up getting points in this game, and just, sneaking away with that point definitely helps them this season. West Ham United 2, Newcastle 2. Another team that just snuck right back in at the end was West Ham United, down 2-1 going into the 80th minute. It was a Mohamed Kunduz goal that gets them the draw here, gets them a point. And you do have to start wondering a little bit with Newcastle United. Is fatigue starting to, play a factor here, which I think it is. They have depth. They don't have a ton of it, which is going to be a problem as we get later on in the season. And that's something they probably need to invest in the January window. Wolves won, Aston Villa won. It was one of the games. It was definitely number 3 out of the 9 o'clock window games. It just wasn't great, but both teams walk away with a point here. And finally, Arsenal won, Man City 0. Arsenal get their first win against Manchester City since 2015, I believe is the stat. It was a statement win for them. It's early on in the season. It's an early statement. But this game was absolutely dreadful to watch. Arsenal got lucky to score that one goal. And this game should have been a 0-0 draw, but it ends up not being that. So Arsenal get the victory in this one and get the full 3 points, even though it should have been a 0-0 draw. So given that is it for the Premier League. Like I said, there were draws scattered all over the place, and we're about to see a lot more of them here in La Liga. So we already talked about Friday's match on Friday. Granola get a 1-0 victory on the road at Caez. It's really interesting what Granola is doing right now. They've had a decent start to the season. I don't think it's sustainable for them, but obviously they're enjoying it for now, I guess I would say is the best way to put it. But getting a 1-0 win on the road, always a great thing, basically. Moving on, you have Real Madrid 4, Osasuna 1. No true surprise here. Of course, Jude Bellingham gets a goal in this game. Would you truly expect anything less? The dude is unstoppable right now. I haven't seen a team that can stop him yet. He's scored in, I think, every game he's played in so far for Los Blancos. And, I keep saying it, but he does look like the signing of the summer. Even though it was a higher price, he's unreplaceable. You cannot replace him. It's just incredible what he's doing on the pitch for a already good Real Madrid side. Mallorca and Valencia draw 1-1. Nothing outstanding report from that match. Sevilla 2, Rayo Vallecano's 2. Sevilla end up sacking their manager after this match. An announcement I don't believe has been announced yet. I'd expect it at some time during this international break, but things obviously not going well right now in Sevilla. Given that you're sacking your manager in the second international break window of the season, that you are not on a good train right then. Moving on, Villarreal get upset at home to Las Palmas 2-1. Las Palmas played a great game, and they deserved the 3 points in this one. Atletico Madrid get a 2-1 victory against Real Sociedad. Diego Simeone looks like an extension is on the horizon for him as Atletico Madrid manager. He's been there 12 years now, and it looks like another extension is coming for him to stay on. Celta Vigo and Getafe draw 2-2, a entertaining 2-2 draw, but both teams end up splitting the points here. Deportivo Alaves and Real Betis split the points in a 1-1 draw. And then Granada and Barcelona also split the points in a 2-2 draw. A Barcelona comeback that was... I was worried about Barcelona in this game. When they were down, they didn't look good. Yarmel Masala, youngest ever goal scorer in La Liga history for Barcelona. He's only like 16 years old, which is just absolutely insane to say. He's out there and he's like one of their better players right now. But Barcelona end up only getting a point from this game. So given that, it is time, as always, now to move on to the Bundesliga, which, not as many draws as La Liga saw, but we still did have a few mixed in there, including Friday's match, which we talked about, which included Mönchengladbach coming back. That was just insane to watch. Moving on, Darmstadt get a 2-1 victory against Augsburg in a game where Darmstadt needed the 3 points, and they end up getting it. Dortmund get a 4-2 victory against Union Berlin. It's really interesting to watch Union Berlin because they do look good a lot of the games in the season. And then when they play like actual good teams, they just don't show up, which is, I think, part of the reason why like they aren't winning their Champions League matches. One of them was Real Madrid, and it took a 90th minute goal. But then you're facing off against Braga in your second group stage match, and you lose again at the death. Something's got to be figured out there, because it's not going to get any easier. And one of the more shocking results of the weekend, I'd say, is RB Leipzig and Bochum drawing 0-0. This seemed like an easy win for RB Leipzig, and for them to only walk away with a point, and it's got to be a disappointment here, and an absolute victory for Bochum, even though obviously it's only 1 point. Stuttgart get a 3-1 victory against Wolfsburg, continuing their quite good start to the season. I don't really think many people saw that coming, but they've had a good start to the season. And then Werder Bremen lose 2-3 at home to Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim also, I thought that they were going to be in trouble this year relegation-wise. They've started the season decently, and I've been quite surprised by it. Like I said, I kind of figured that they would be relegation around there. I didn't think that they would actually end up being relegated, but I figured they'd be around there, and they're doing quite good right now. Then we move on to Sunday, where all the away teams scored a combined total of 0 goals. Bayer Leverkusen get a 3-0 victory against Köln. Bayern Munich get a 3-0 victory against Freiburg. And Frankfurt get a 2-0 victory against Heidenheim. I was quite surprised that Freiburg didn't put up a better fight. I mean, they needed to. I figured that they would, and at least make it like 2-1 or 3-1. But they just looked lifeless in this game. It was really rough for them at the Allianz Arena on Sunday. So given that, we'll finally move on to Serie A. We already talked about the 2 Friday games on Friday. Inter Milan draw 2-2 with Bologna in a game where, I thought Inter should have won that game probably by at least 2 goals, and Bologna end up, sneaking in and getting the victory, or the draw in this one, I should say. Juventus defeat Torino 2-0 in the Turin derby. It's a result that Juventus should have won, and I think they got the scoreline that they deserved in this one. An absolutely insane match between with AC Milan. An absolutely insane match. We had both goalkeepers sent off in late in stoppage time, I'm pretty sure. You have Olivier Giroud stepping in to become the AC Milan goalkeeper. Makes a huge save to keep this a 1-0 game and wins them that game. I think he got voted man of the match for the performance. I know he got put in the Serie A team of the week at goalkeeper. It's just become a huge thing with him. Just an absolutely insane performance in net for the few minutes that he played. And the goal scorer for AC Milan was none other than Christian Pulisic, with an assist from Yunus Musa. So a All-American goal there to get AC Milan the victory. Moving on to Sunday, Monza get a 3-0 home victory against Salernitana. I was kind of surprised with how Monza came out and played. They looked really good, and they deserved the 3 points in this one. Ramose Calico get a 2-1 victory against Hellas Verona. Another kind of just result. It kind of deserved. I think it was the right scoreline given the opportunities. The most entertaining game of this weekend was Lazio 3, Atalanta 2. Just felt like it was goals galore. A lot of goals everywhere. Quite an interesting game to watch from start to finish because there's a lot going on both sides. Just tactically, it was interesting to watch how those dynamics played out against each other. Cagliari lose 1-4 to AS Roma. Roma finally show a decent performance this year. They look really good. But then Paulo Dybala goes down with an injury. Not sure how long he's going to be out, which is obviously a problem for them. But finally, Roma put up a performance that, I think we've been waiting all year for them to see, even though it wasn't against an outstanding opponent. And then finally, the Scudetto winners Napoli fall 1-3 at home to Fiorentina in another game where I really don't know what's going on with Napoli right now. They just look so out of it, and I don't know how you get it back because it's carrying over into the Champions League too, which is obviously, if all this is going to carry over, it's going to become a big problem. So given that, that is going to be it for this episode of Back in the Net. Hopefully you enjoyed it because it's the last one for a few weeks because it's an international break now. So we'll be back in 2 weeks previewing the next match weeks. We'll Hopefully you enjoyed this little taste of European soccer, and we will be back in a few weeks. If you stumble across this video, hit like, hit subscribe, tell anybody you know about it, and come back in a few weeks, or check out the other videos on this channel. There's a lot that goes on here. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you again soon for another episode of Back in the Net.